Hey friends, you're going to be so excited about today's episode because I have a couple of special guests. These are two women that are crushing it. Shana and Vanessa are dynamic financial coaches and co-hosts of the top-ranked Financial Coaching for Women podcast. With a blend of humor, real-life stories, and practical advice, they make finance accessible to women worldwide. Their experience, shaped by training with Dave Ramsey and crafting thousands of budgets, enables them to offer straightforward, non judgmental guidance that simplifies complex financial concepts into actionable steps. Without further ado, we are going to get right into today's episode with Shana and Vanessa. Welcome to the Grace-Filled Leader Podcast. Do you want better work-life balance? Do you get stuck in patterns of perfectionism and people-pleasing? Have you always been an overachiever but never really felt good enough, no matter how much outward success you achieve? Do you want more time for the things that matter most? Well, you are in the right place. Here on the Grace-Filled Leader Podcast, we focus on spirit-driven success and share the secrets to having better work-life balance as a busy woman in leadership. Here you will learn how to set boundaries like a boss, find peace of mind, and reclaim your time for the things that matter most. Hi, I'm Tanya, a wife, mom, leader, and certified Christian life coach. For most of my life, I tried to find worthiness through achievement. I spent decades people-pleasing and pouring myself into my work. I was looking for my value through the approval of others. This led me to feel burned out, empty, and exhausted. I had no time or energy for myself or my family. I realized that I was wasting time and energy looking for validation in all the wrong places. But my life changed when I finally surrendered and God showed me a different way. It is my mission to help you start living the abundant life God has for you. If you're ready to become fueled by grace and find freedom from people-pleasing, if you're ready to multiply your time and impact as a Christian woman in leadership, this podcast is for you. Roll up your sleeves, sister friends. It's time to get after it. Hello, ladies. Welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here.
Yay! Thank you for having us. We're so excited and honored to be here.
Yes, we're super excited. We love the opportunity, and we are excited to talk to your audience because I think it's similar to they are similar to the people that we normally talk to. So it's exciting.
Yes, and I'm one of your people. I have to say, like I'm a binge listener to your podcast. So I'm so excited. I feel a little bit like what do you call like the band, the front row girls in the
fangirl.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
we were listening to your podcast this morning and you were talking about like giving us permission to not be perfect. And I think that I 100% struggle from that. And I know Shana does too, but it's just, you want to be perfect in business. You want to be the perfect coach for your clients. You want to be perfect mom, cook, health, clean, whatever. And it's like, taking a step back and realizing that, listen, we're all doing this together. We're all crushing life together and it's going to be fine.
We didn't just buy pizza because we have no lunch plans for our kids. It's fine. We're all doing really great.
Lunchables is such a great invention, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm super excited. Partly, I feel like this is selfish, content that I selfishly, want to dig into because it's great. I love that you give such practical and implementable kind of tips for people. Like every episode I get kernels. So anyway, for those of my listeners that aren't familiar with you, can we start out just first kind of telling the audience who you are, who you serve, what inspired you to do the work that you're now doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So our audience are Christian moms who are high achievers, right? Mm-hmm. They are trying to run their empire at home. They're trying to run their empire with their career, whether they're an entrepreneur, most of ours are, or if they're in a job, right, that is a high capacity job.
Yeah. And they are, usually they're just crushing it in so many areas, but their finances is just one of those things that is just fallen by the wayside. They're not looking at it. They're not paying attention. They're getting by. And so what inspired us to do what we were doing is we used to be that. So we've been friends for a long time. Our kids are friends. We've kind of all grown up together, and we kind of did our own Dave Ramsey sort of journey to get out of debt and to learn how to budget and be wise with our money. And then we decided, long God story, that we would do this business together.
Yeah.
And so we've been in business now for 5 years. We've crafted at least at that $1 million budget.
Yeah, feels like it.
And we like to help women, and what we're going to talk about today, who, they make good money. And so that's the thing. They're in the position, like you said about your audience. They have a good career. They're professional. They've put in the time. So now they have probably a good income, right? They have good money coming in, but then they're just over here like, wait, why isn't there more stacking up in the savings account? Why isn't there more that I can see what my money is doing? I don't have anything to show for the fact that I've made all of this progress in my career.
Yeah. And a lot of it is just being unorganized with their finances and in their accounts, and really, a lot of people just kind of put their head in the sand with it just because they have so many other things going on that is kind of falls to the wayside. So we really want to bring light to it. We want to put it on paper. We want to show them that it's actually not as bad as they think it is.
Yeah.
Let's just take a look and make a plan.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's so interesting because I see the parallels. We focus so much on this show on, finding work-life balance and time management, and how money and time align kind of with our avatars. It's so interesting because so much of it comes down to organizing it, and first having an awareness of where you're spending it, organizing, prioritizing, all of that. So it's really just an awesome parallel. And I saw that in myself, and I hear that in the people I serve too. So why do you think many people, especially, our women, or you guys, it's not necessarily women, we know that, but our busy professional women resist organizing their finances, even when they know that they should? I hate that word. That's like the shooting all of ourselves, but they know better. They're bright, intelligent, smart, high achieving people. Why do they resist or put off that organizing of finances?
I would say the first thing is that they were never taught how. Like they were never taught how to properly manage their finances on their own. And then they enter a marriage, and then no one teaches them how to combine their finances and do it as a team and be successful in that way.
Yeah. And the other part, a lot of what we've noticed is there's a lot of shame. And, when you say shitting all over yourself, what we find is women think that they should know. They should already be doing really well. They should have already known all of this. And what we say is, you're successful in your career. You're successful as a mom. You're doing all of these things. Why are you putting it on your shoulders that you should also already know this? Like Vanessa said, nobody taught this to you. Nobody showed you. And I'm of the opinion that personal finance is more complicated than it ever has been. If you go back 100 years ago, nobody's budget had as many line items.
They
had
maybe rent or their mortgage, water, and like electricity, maybe, right?
So people are resisting it, like Vanessa said, because they don't know. They're resisting it because they feel ashamed that they don't already have it all together. They may feel overwhelmed that it's so complicated, or that it's going to take a lot of time, or all of that. And then, there's also, like you said, the issue of time. So what we try to do is take the overwhelm out, take the shame out, and make it as simple and then as efficient as possible, so that you don't feel that way about getting your finances together.
Yeah, we hear that a lot from people, and they're like, I feel so silly because I feel like I should already know. And like Shana said, we take that all out. We lay it out. We show you what is, show you what could be, what can be. And we really try to make it as automated as possible to pull you out of it. So the less hands you have to be, like the less time and you have to be in it, the more it's working on its own, and the less you're going to mess it up. Right. Yeah. So that's our goal for you, is to set up a system, organize it, and really allow you to kind of step back. So it's not something you have to worry about again.
Right. And I'm guessing, and we'll talk more about it, but yes, there is that initial time investment to sort of get started and organize. But like to your point, okay, invested in the front end, because the time savings, never mind the money savings that you're going to have, is exponentially more in the long run by automating and having an awareness of your finances. So tell me about that. If we're starting with that overwhelmed, no time, so busy, where would you tell that person to start in terms of, budgeting, starting to take ownership of their finances and begin to see that it's possible to save more or show more for what, have more to show for what they're actually earning?
Yeah. We would say put it on paper. So the first thing would be to look at everything, get all your numbers, have your income, list that down, right? That's the best number of your budget is the plus column. So have your income listed up top and then list out all of your expenses and figure out what are you actually paying for throughout the month? What is it costing you to live each month?
Yeah. And so to your point, what we want to do, we're going to give you permission. Go ahead and set a 2-hour block, go to Starbucks, tell everybody I'll be back, like make this appointment with yourself. And it's okay. And we're giving you permission to do that. And then, like Vanessa said, just get ready to comb through it. It is, like you said, our coach says, let's do today something that's going to save me time tomorrow. And we're also adding, not only is it going to save you time, it's going to save you anxiety. It's going to save you brain calories, all of that in the future. So so sit down, like Vanessa said, start with the income. We have a one-page budget template that your folks can get for free. It's at mynadeaubalance.com/budget template. And we like to do it very simple, where you list your income, then you list your debts, then you list your bills. And then once you have that figured out, what's left over to allocate to spending or savings. And that's different than any other budget that you'll find out there. But what we want to do is figure all those things out, because the number one thing that we tell people to blow their mind is that your money should be split up into a bills account, into spending accounts, and then if you have the leftover, into savings accounts. So that's what we would say. If you can figure that out, get it, like Vanessa said, all on paper one time, and then you separate them. And then all of your bills are only coming out over here, and you know exactly what you have to spend every month, then it's going to make your brain so much happier.
Yeah. So the first step is to put it on paper. And then, like Shana said, the second step is to now you're going to organize it. And if the one thing that you can do to organize your finances is to have those two separate accounts. And the way that we tell people to do this is a bill is considered anything that you're charged for, anything that is reoccurring every month. Okay. And so you're going to have an account that's going to pay for all of your bills and your debts, because you have to pay for those every single month. And those happen. Now, we're not saying you can't comb through that and go, hey, well, how many subscriptions am I paying for? What do I need to get off? Like, what do I need to stop paying for? Like, yes, you could probably comb through that. But first, let's just put it on paper. Then we want you to open up a second checking account that is just for spending for things like gas and groceries and pocket money and, ice cream and stuff for the kids. If you can do that and not combine what's coming in and out of the same account, so that way you don't have like 30,000 transactions in 1 month to look through an account, that is just going to simplify everything in itself.
Yeah. And to Vanessa's original point of putting it all on paper, the reason that you make good money but have nothing to show for it is because you don't have a plan, and you don't have, a lot of people just see the bank account as my budget. As it goes down, I know I should spend less. Done, all done budgeting. And we're here for that. We do agree with that. We want to work with that habit and that what you're already doing, but we want to put some guardrails in place. So the first guardrail is, when I look at my spending account, that's what I know that I can spend, because I know my bills are already paid, right? And that's in a different account. I've already figured that out. I'm not going to worry about that, but I can look at this spending account because there's not rent, mortgage, or, utilities, gas, every other thing is not also coming out of my spending. It's separate. So I can look, okay, you have $1,000 for gas, groceries, to go to Chick-fil-A, whatever you need. That's all I have. But the bills are also already being paid for over there. The other thing, when it's all on one piece of paper or all on one vision, is if I want something to show for it, I can set that aside before it gets to my spending too. So you have the income come into that bills account. You keep what needs to stay in there all the time for the bills. And then, maybe every paycheck I'm putting 100 or 500, depending on your budget, right over to whatever I'm saving for on purpose. And then that money that goes in that spending is I can feel good about spending that. I don't have to worry. I know I have that to spend, but I'm stacking savings up over here and my bills are being paid for. And I know exactly what's happening with my money.
We have a lot of clients that say, or that start off with us and they say, oh, well, I have a direct transfer from my paycheck into a separate account for savings. And usually my first question is, and how long does it take you throughout the month before you pull from that to use? And they're like, oh yeah, I pull from it, 3 times a month. And I'm like, exactly. Cause we're doing, I get your concept. Like the idea is great, but we just need a better plan to execute it. And so when we put it all on paper and don't bring any other money into other accounts, like it's all coming to the bills account first, and then you organize it from there. And I have designated, like Shana said, like $1,000 a month for gas and groceries. I have all my bills paid. Oh, and I actually do have an extra $300 to put in savings. I'm not just guessing from my paycheck how much I want to maybe save this month, right? You're putting it on paper. It's a plan. It's a non-negotiable, and you're not going to touch it because you already know you have enough for your spending stuff. I think that's where the kicker is when you have everything coming out of the same account, you don't know how much you have or how much you should have or how much do you need. But when you can separate that and put a certain amount over there in spending, then you can say, oh, and I can actually save $200 to $300 this month and I don't need it. Like I'm actually not going to touch it. Right.
Yes. And what I love about it is I've always been a budgeter, like a planner, a budgeter, but one episode I was listening to, it kind of clicked with me to a degree. I was still a reactive budgeter in that I would, for example, I love too that you speak to getting away from credit cards. So I'm kind of in that place, but I was budgeting for what I kind of sort of probably on average spend on my credit cards. I always would charge more than I budgeted for on my credit card. So even my budgeting was not the proactive approach that you all teach. So I love the concept. And that separate spending from Bill's account was really, I mean, it's awesome. It is so much, like you said, like it really truly makes it all so much more organized, and it reduces your anxiety because you know what you have. I'm more intentional now about my spending because I know what I have and what I don't have. And okay, do I really want to spend it on that, or do I like to see a little cushion left over,
I love that you said that. It's so good because the biggest mistake that people make is not looking at it. And to what we were saying before, you think, overwhelmed, anxiety. But once people look at it like you did, then you're like, oh, okay, now that I actually know what I'm doing and I know what the plan is, even if I mess up a little bit, that's okay. Now I want to save more money. Now I don't want to spend much money because I actually know, because I have a budget, that this will go to something more important. And as soon as people start to look at it, it doesn't matter their budget. It doesn't matter if they're millionaires or not. Or, we just talked to a mom this morning who she's a single mom and she's doing what she can, right? And so it doesn't matter where you are. If you look at it and you make a plan, then that will be the catalyst for everything else, for all the progress. It's just, you have to look at it.
Yeah. And we have so many clients and customers that tell us, I still have money left over. And it's because they designated a certain amount for something. And normally they would just blow through that. Right. But because it was intentional, because it was well thought through, because they made a plan, they actually didn't spend as much, and they made a realistic budget. I think that's the big thing too. They actually didn't spend as much as they thought. Like I had a lady, she said, I'm budgeting $4,000 this month for my spending, for all of her stuff. And, they have a high income. And she said, I have literally only spent $1,000 and we're on week 3. But normally she would have blown through that. But because she's tracking it, she's more intentional.
Yes, totally. It's so good. So good. So in your experience and, all the clients you've served and what you witnessed, what do you think is kind of the most common mistake that people make in regards to their finances or their money?
Yeah, like I said, I think most of the time it's just not looking at it. It's just like using that one bank account as your budget and, using that and not looking at it, because as you said about what's happening as you kind of, switched over the system and you being more intentional about, like, maybe I don't want to spend that. Once you get it on paper, once you look at it, it is not as scary as you thought for the most part. That never is. And now you say, like, how many times, Vanessa, we have we do budgets with clients and they're like, I didn't know I had that much left over.
Mhm.
Every time.
Every time. Yeah,
Yeah.
you do. And then when you have a vision to tie that to, like, we're going to Disney this fall, or, or I want to, save for my daughter's wedding or whatever. I don't even know what it is. When you have something that's
When you have
bigger,
a why,
that's bigger than going out to eat every time because you're busy, there is something that changes. It just changes about who you are, about your habits, about what your goals are. We have clients all the time that get more excited about saving than they do about spending.
yeah.
And that's where you can get if you just look at the numbers.
I would say one other common mistake is that they think it has to be hard.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of taboo around the B word, the budget, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to do it. They don't want anything about it. And we understand, but our system, our budget is so simple.
Mhm.
And once you understand how it
Mhm.
works, like I said, it's literally automated. It's pretty hands off.
Yeah.
And they realize this is actually working for me. And it's easier than what you hear. So there's a lot of talk out there on, and hey, we actually worked with the designer to create our own budget because we went out there and we thought, okay, let's partner with somebody who already has an amazing
Mhm.
budget. We want to, work with them and we want to use their budget for our business. We didn't find one.
Mhm.
We searched high and low for a budget that made sense, something that was simple and easy and organized,
Mhm.
and we didn't find one. So we had to create our own.
Mhm.
And what we found is that people actually love how easy it is to set up.
Yep.
Right. And whether it's our system or just a budget print, like Shana said, the 1-page budget template, and you will understand and see, like, it's not as hard as what people may seem or what people are telling you that it is.
Mhm.
Right. And it has to be simpler. People won't do it. At least my people, because
Right.
they have no time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it comes to not having time, this is what, like we said, well, we'll just go back to what we said before. Do it now so you can save time later. Do it now so you can save brain calories later. It's worth it. Your financial piece, the piece that you're going to get, is totally worth the little bit of time. And you know what? If you need some accountability, you need a push, you can come over. We actually do free 20-minute calls. That is usually the only time some of the people have ever even thought about budgeting, thought about their finances, all of that, because they're like, okay, I'm going to set this appointment. And I know that's what you talk about. You have to make time for yourself.
Yeah.
You are important. Block
Right.
this time out. Take the time for yourself. Everyone else is important too, but you not sleeping at night because you're not sure whatever's happening with your finances, that's not okay. We're not okay with that.
Yeah,
and we
right.
want you to feel confident and savvy and prepared, right? With your finances.
And invest in yourself, right? So like Shana said, whether it's time or whether it's a little bit of money, like we call it Budget University, like take the time to learn the information to make tomorrow easier and faster and better for yourself. If your child has, I'm just going to speak from experience. If your daughter has a 2-hour volleyball practice, sit at the Starbucks.
Yeah.
Borrow some Wi-Fi, right? Put some Jesus music in your ears and just get to work and just kind of see it all on paper and just start to make a plan.
Yeah.
Well, and as I listen to you talk too, and I think about, on the show, we talk about balance in all different ways, work-life balance and, overwhelm and peace of mind. And this ties into, I think, the points I talk about developing systems, because the key is, whether you think it or know it or not, just by holding the stress and the unknown of your finances in your brain and not having it out on paper and having a plan, you literally are wasting mental, physical, and emotional energy, because it's all still spinning in your head. When you actually get it out of your head and onto the paper and into a system, you literally have freed up kind of mind space to have more peace and just to not be expending the energy or the time because of the hamster wheel that's going on in your brain, which is the
you will
same
instantly
for
feel the
systems
relief
with your time.
Yeah. You'll feel the relief and the weight off your shoulders.
Mhm.
Some people deal with stress differently. So some people overeat, some people don't eat at all. Some people, my hair falls out when I get stressed, right? So it's like everyone deals with it in a certain way. But if you're constantly stressed and you're realizing that you have these same habits, and maybe something is always happening in your life because you're stressed, let's start to relieve some of that. Let's get the weight off, get release, like you said, and some brain calories and some mind space up, so that way you can focus on other things, other important things in your life.
Right. And it's such a sense of accomplishment. Like, I feel like when you do get it on paper and you do implement your plan and you do see a little money extra in the bank, it keeps motivating and
Yep.
helping you to keep going because you see the results,
Right.
just like anything else, weight loss and, exercise,
Right.
all
Mhm.
those things that we need to do for
Yeah,
us.
and just to piggyback on that real quick, it's going to save you the regular brain calories. But then I think about when Vanessa says about volleyball, she's got to go up to Atlanta and we're in Florida with her daughter, and knowing that that's paid for, like
Yeah.
knowing that that is paid for in the future, she's already budgeted for it. Think about those moments because life keeps happening to you,
Yes.
whatever is going on in your life, and people keep throwing you financial things, and not having to worry in the moment when those new things pop up is also, that. So when y'all were talking about stress, I feel it in my stomach. Like I feel like I know I have an ulcer in there, and it just eats there until I
Yeah.
solve the problem, until I figure it out, right? And so that's what this take ownership
Yeah.
of your finance. Like we said, you are successful, you are savvy, you are smart. So let's just make this one more thing that you add to your resume. You're super, like you said, you're super accomplished, you're super good at budgeting, and that will take away those little stressful pain points that pop up too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how Shannon said it. Just own that you are now a financial guru with your budget, right?
Yeah.
Put your crown on and get to it and get to work, because once you look at it, once you really understand it and set a system and set the time aside to make set the system and the automations up, right?
Mhm.
You're golden, right? You're automatically going to gain time and energy back in the future.
Yes. Okay. I could literally talk about this all day with you. So I have a couple more things I want to make sure I cover. Number one, I want to make sure that our people know how to find you, where to find you, and all of this goodness. So tell us that first. Where can they find more of Shana and Vanessa?
Well, the number one thing you want to do is check out our podcast as well after you're done with this podcast, and it's going to be so much fun. We're going to be budget besties together. So just listen to hers and then listen to ours. No, it's financial coaching for
You get
women.
all your Jesus and all your finances.
Well, yeah, well, and you get manage your time, then manage all that, and then your leadership and all of that, and just be led, and then come and get a little budget booster right afterwards. Anyway, financial coaching for women. You can go to our website, myidealbalance.com. That's really where we're at. Supposedly we have a Facebook, supposedly we have an Instagram. We don't really know about those things that much. Not gonna lie.
We do have a Facebook group, so it's financial coaching for women. We do have a free financial Facebook group that our community is in, and
They're really good.
holding themselves accountable on each other, and they're also asking questions and stuff in there too.
Nice. And we'll put all of that in the show notes, of course. So little surprise question for all y'all.
Oh.
If you could tell our listeners just one thing that you think, and whether financial or not, that would change the trajectory of their lives for the better, what would you tell them? Whether that's as a mom, as an entrepreneur, as a financial guru.
So I will go mom for me right now. It's just the season that I'm in. Be present.
Yes.
I am, gosh, I could tear up. I'm in a moment with my kids where sports is a big part of their life, and being present in the moment and watching them and having conversations about it and just enjoying it with them. I'm really, really loving this season. And I would just say it's not going to last. Like I just had this mental breakdown like a couple months ago with my husband. I was like, is my son really out in 3 years? Like, is this happening? I'm not okay with this. So it's just, I am absorbing these next 3 to 4 years because he's out in 3, she's out in 4. And I just want to be as present as possible.
Yeah.
So
that's so awesome.
Yeah, I would just
learned it that fast in life. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm like,
yeah, no, I was just gonna say I would just take ownership of your finances. Like do it. That's what would just change your life. We have clients that come in and they get on a budget, they figure out what their goals are. And they're like, when you said trajectory, that's the first thing I thought. Like, right, today is the day. You can be, where can you be in a year? You could have all of this money in savings. You could be out of debt. You could be funding all of these things with your kids that you want to do, experiences, all of that. You could be doing that if you just start now. And the other little nugget that we'll leave with is you can be bougie on a budget.
Yeah.
We have clients that are like, that's fine, but I'm not stopping doing my nails. I will be going on vacations, blah, blah. And I'm like, you can be bougie. And we like to say, because it's fun, you can be bougie. Do not think that being on a budget means you can't do anything. You have to be beans and rice. None of that, scorched earth. You can do both, and you can live your life and feel really good about and responsible about and how you're stewarding your money.
We just feel like you can live your life and have fun and enjoy it while taking care of the important things, like maybe paying down debt and also getting your finances in order, right? So we believe in both. We've seen it, we've done it. We have so much proof that it works. So just know that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. We have seen our clients be able to be so much more present in their lives, whether that's with their husband, with their kids, at work, with their friends, at church, with their community. Like, they've seen that once they get their finances in order, because they know they can. And a lot of people think that, well, finances, I mean, we talk about finances tie back to everything. Anything you want to do pretty much requires you to have some type of financial stability. So if you can have that, it just takes one whole weight off, and then you can really focus and be present on other areas of your life. So we hope your listeners got some gold nuggets out of that. And we're so thankful and appreciative to be here. So thank you for having us.
Oh, so many golden nuggets I know they got, because I did. So thank you again so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
We loved it.
I pray this episode blessed you, spoke to you, or encouraged you in some way. If so, please share it with a friend and head on over to Apple Podcasts to leave me a review. That's the only way for me to know if you're enjoying the show. Nothing blesses me more than to hear from you. Also, come on over to our free Facebook community. This is a great place for us to support one another on our faith and leadership journeys. You can find the link to the group in the show notes, or go to gracefilledleader.com/community. If you have questions or content ideas for the show, please send me a message on SpeakPipe or via email. Go to gracefilledleader.com/contact and leave a written or voice recorded message. I would love to know how I can best serve you on the podcast. Now to Him who can do immeasurably more than we can ask or imagine, according to His power that is at work within us. Ephesians 3, verse 20. Until next time, my friends, God bless.